CEO hears janitor speak 9 languages. What he does next leaves the whole office stunned. The first time Michael Harris noticed the janitor was on a Tuesday morning, just before the quarterly board meeting. The sleek glass walls of Evergrove International's headquarters sparkled as sunlight streamed in, and Michael, the company's CEO, adjusted his tie while walking briskly past the lobby. That's when he heard it, a soft, fluent exchange in French between a man in overalls and a lost European client trying to locate the conference room. Michael paused. The janitor, whose name Michael didn't even know, smiled kindly and pointed the way, switching fluidly into English with a gentle, "Have a great meeting, sir." Michael blinked. Did he just speak French? Curiosity piqued, he made a mental note and continued on. It wasn't until 2 days later, while leaving late at night, that he overheard the janitor again. This time conversing in Mandarin with a delivery man struggling with the building's security system. This wasn't just helpfulness. This was remarkable. Michael approached him. "Excuse me. What language was that?" The janitor turned, slightly startled. He was older, perhaps in his mid-60s, with kind eyes and a posture that suggested years of hard work. "Oh, that? Mandarin, sir. You speak it fluently." The janitor smiled modestly. "I do my best. My name's Jorge, by the way." Michael Harris, the CEO replied, extending a hand. "But I suppose you knew that." Jorge chuckled. "I've seen you on the company posters. It's nice to finally meet you." Something about the way he said it made Michael feel small. He realized he had passed this man dozens of times without a second thought. "How many languages do you speak, Jorge?" "9, he said, almost apologetically. "I grew up moving around a lot." 9. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Jorge. How someone with such rare abilities ended up pushing a mop in silence. He dug through the company's employment records. Jorge had been with Evergrove for 12 years. No college degree, minimal formal education, yet glowing internal reviews from building staff. Still, he had never been promoted, never even transferred to a front-facing position. The next morning, Michael called HR. "Bring me everything you have on Jorge Ramirez." A week later, Michael invited Jorge to his office. Jorge came in with a puzzled look and stood awkwardly at the door. "Is everything all right, Mr. Harris?" "Please, call me Michael." "Sit down." He gestured to the chair across from him. "I've been learning a bit about you." Jorge shifted uncomfortably. "I hope I didn't do anything wrong." "Quite the opposite." Michael leaned forward. "Why are you working as a janitor, Jorge?" Jorge was silent for a long moment. Then, he looked up. "My wife passed away 12 years ago. Cancer. We had just moved here from Brazil. I had to find work quickly to support my son. I took the janitor job because it was stable and came with health benefits. I never looked back." Michael felt a lump form in his throat. "And the languages?" "I picked them up over the years. My father was a diplomat. We moved across continents, Africa, Europe, Asia. I learned by listening, by helping, by surviving. I've always loved languages. They're bridges." Michael sat back, speechless. This man, hidden in plain sight, was the embodiment of resilience and wisdom, of humanity at its quietest and strongest. "I want to try something," Michael said suddenly. "Come with me." Together, they walked to the 14th floor, the International Client Services Department. Michael called an impromptu meeting, gathered the team, and introduced Jorge. "This is Jorge Ramirez. He speaks 9 languages. From now on, he'll be working here as our new global liaison officer." The room went quiet. Some jaws literally dropped. Jorge's face turned pale. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Michael said with a grin. In the weeks that followed, Jorge became a revelation. He connected effortlessly with clients, mediated delicate negotiations, and even taught weekly language and culture classes for the staff. Morale soared. Word of his story spread through the company like wildfire. But the most unexpected moment came during the company's annual gala. Michael took the stage to deliver his closing remarks. "Tonight, I want to share a story. A story about what happens when we look beyond job titles. About the janitor who spoke 9 languages, but whose real strength was his heart." He turned to Jorge, who was seated near the front with his now-grown son, beaming with pride. "We often talk about talent as something you can measure with degrees and resumes. But real talent, real humanity, comes from experience, character, and humility. Jorge reminded me of that." Then Michael paused, pulling an envelope from his pocket. "And with that spirit, it is my honor to announce the creation of the Ramirez Fellowship, a full scholarship fund for employees' children, especially those from immigrant families, who dream of higher education." The crowd erupted in applause. Jorge stood slowly, tears glistening in his eyes. He hadn't just been recognized, he had become the catalyst for change. Later that night, after the gala, Jorge approached Michael. "Why me?" he asked quietly. Michael smiled. "Because you reminded me of who I used to be. A kid with a dream and no map. You showed me that greatness doesn't shout, it whispers, every day, in acts of quiet dignity." That moment became a legend in the halls of Evergrove. Years passed. Jorge eventually retired, not as a janitor, but as a celebrated ambassador of the company. His story was told to every new hire, not as a fairy tale, but as a lesson. A lesson that said, never assume. Never underestimate. And always listen, because sometimes the most extraordinary people are the ones you walk past without seeing. And sometimes, all it takes is one person to stop, ask a question, and open a door. The end. Message. Behind every uniform, behind every quiet smile, lies a story waiting to be heard. Kindness can change a life. And sometimes, it can change a company.